Okay, welcome to our Miracle Mondays class. My name is Reverend Lisa Windsor, and I am so happy that we are all here together. We are on the topic of patience. We are talking about cultivating infinite patience, and we are using the teachings of A Course in Miracles as the catalyst for our awakening. And I love A Course in Miracles. It's an incredible spiritual it's like a technology to wake us up, a beautiful technology to wake us up. And it comes in the form of a course. And so for some of you, you may have a challenge if in school your education, that kind of background is difficult. And to come to a course later in life and say, I'm done with school, I'm done with courses, no more textbooks and workbooks and training that way. But it is for all of us who are called. And what I witnessed to along the way is those that have had challenges in education heal. They heal all of those blocks and obstacles. And then some of us are really drawn to the course being a curriculum, an educational curriculum, because that is a way that we feel drawn. I've always been like a lifelong student for sure and loved school when I was younger. So it's always worked quite well for me. But I also see so many people that are healing the obstacles and the challenges that have come up in the past around school and education. So it's very cool that way. If you're new to A Course in Miracles, there is a text, through 31 chapter text that lays a theoretical foundation for the course. There is a 365 lesson workbook, a lesson for every day of the year. That is how we integrate the theory into practical application so that we can live the teachings of the course. There is also a manual for teachers. It's a beautiful part of the course that answers amazing questions that teachers may have. Because the truth of A Course in Miracles is it's raising us all up to be miracle workers. It's raising us all up to teach love. That's what we end up teaching as the teachers of God and the ministers of this course. So just a deep, warm welcome. I have been I have been studying the course for over 20 years. It's been forever, it feels a long time. And I have to laugh because it's still my favorite hobby and pastime, as well as what I do through the day for work. And it's really, most of the friends that I hang out with are often course students, so that seems to be the thing. But I know simply that this has been my calling in this lifetime to extend these teachings. And what I have learned, which is so amazing, I think this is maybe I'm speaking about this because our minister training program is actually coming up again in the new year. It starts every January. And what I have learned is that not everyone actually is going to teach A Course in Miracles in the formal way that I end up teaching it. Actually, we are called in the minister training program, in that deep calling to say yes and live these teachings, to lay a foundation of rock solid spiritual foundation that aligns us so deeply with our inner teachers that they can actually call us into whatever function is helpful in the world. And what we know inwardly is that this is A Course in Miracles, that we are actually following, listening and following the path that is laid out to us by our inner teachers, which is our highest path, whatever it may look like, whatever format we may end up extending. And it's been so beautiful witnessing to so many of the minister training students graduate and then just continue in their own ministries, whether it's ministering to their families and their friends and their communities, or through the work that they do, or through other healing modalities, knowing that Jesus and the Holy Spirit are guiding every step. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So perhaps I'm sharing about that because I always want during these fall months, I always want everyone actually listening for any call of the heart to go into deep immersion for the new year. It is immersive. It's a beautiful year of support. It's like coming into this container of support and moving through the curriculum with so much love, with connection. Um, and yeah, and of course, there's people on this call that are in the minister training right now and that have graduated from it. And it's just something that I trust that if whoever is guided to take that step, yeah, that they'll come and they'll reach out and connect. Hmm. Yeah, and it can take tremendous patience, actually, because even when we want something, we really want something, we really desire something to happen, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen on our timing. In fact, we who are following our inner teachers are working on divine time, which means that we have to let go of the limitation that we have around time, let it go so that we can actually receive what is truly helpful for the whole. You see, when we are looking through the lens of A Course in Miracles, we are looking at the big picture. A Course in Miracles and our teachers, they are working on behalf of all of us as one. Because in the end, A Course in Miracles is a non-dualistic teaching. And it says that we are all one in truth, that we are all one in love. And so when we follow the teachers within, they are guiding us on behalf of what is most helpful for the whole, including ourselves. Not what is most helpful for everyone in sacrifice to ourselves. No, 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 no. Including ourselves so that it becomes a pathway of love and abundance and beauty for all. But it requires, on a level, to come into a space of great patience, right? And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. Is like, how do we cultivate an experience of patience? And I want to talk practically about it because I always say we want to live an experience of divine patience. How do we do that? How do we shift from impatience to divine patience? And I think it always begins with us looking at the impatience. Impatience is always rooted in the ego. It's always rooted in the ego thought system. So if you're feeling impatience, that is a wonderful red flag that we need something, we need some forgiveness, we need to heal something. And the ego, actually, I would say impatience is a wonderful, very effective strategy of the ego, right? Because what does it feel like when we are in a state of impatience, right? Like if you just think about what does impatience feel like, right? Like there's, for me, when I'm feeling impatient, there is a sense of limited time, like a stress on time. There's not enough time. When I feel impatient, there's a sense of pressure. There's a stress. It feels stressful. And when we culminate into that kind of a feeling, what we want to do as quickly as we can is relieve the pressure and stress. Like that's the indicator. So what happens when we get into an ego pattern around impatience is that the ego offers up the impatience. It tells us, this is why you're impatient. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to go on. This is the stress. This is the pressure. And then it quickly offers up a solution on how to solve that impatience with some kind of action from fear. It wants us to continue to stay with it. So it offers up the problem of impatience and the issue, and then it seems to offer up a solution to relieve the impatience and to feel better. And we could say at times that there is a band-aiding effect. So sometimes there is maybe a sense of temporarily the impatience lifting and the pressure lifting, if we follow that out, but it's always temporary. And what will happen is that experience of being in impatience again will come up again and again and again. And we never actually heal the root of the impatience. And so, like I said, it's an incredibly effective strategy of the ego because we don't like the feeling of impatience. We feel impatient about impatience. We don't like it. And so it's perfect. It's a perfect loop that we can stay in. And I would think I was sharing about this. So every week right now, I'm sending out a a newsletter to you, usually on Sundays, and it has heart work exercises. If you're not opening them, open them. They're really short. I'm trying to keep them like less than 5 minutes, a little video, a little something to keep us sort of in the practice of this. And I was using the example of how if I get stressed about work, things that have to be done with Modern Miracles, sometimes it feels like there's a lot like coming up on my plate around it. There's like, we've got to get this done and this done and this done and this done and this, and it kind of accumulates. And if I'm feeling like I'm holding it on my own and I haven't lifted it up, I get impatient. The ego comes in with tons of impatience. And you know what it tells me around work? It just says, work more, work harder, work, 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 work. And if I am not aware of that pattern, I then end up like plummeting into like trying to feel better by working more, more, more. And you see, that's not a good cycle because it really never lifts. And then I believe, oh my gosh, if I just work more, I will feel better. If I just put more into this, I will feel better. But then I'm thinking, and this is my dedication to all of you and to God and to my path this time, as I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be another way. I'm not doing it that way anymore. I'm done with that way. I'm done with the old way. I'm done. It's so painful. It's so tiring. I'm exhausted from that old way. So now, when I experience that impatience come up, as opposed to acting upon it, which is what the ego wants to keep us in it, it just says, well, just work, 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 go unconscious to the fact that there's even another choice you can make, go unconscious to the fact that the ego's given you this solution and just work more. And so now when I experience that, I'm going through an experience of forgiveness. Now, I want to talk to you about this because the way to enter in, if we're going to say there's a portal to patience, if we want to enter through the portal to an experience of divine patience, we have to go through the doorway of forgiveness. Okay, but I want to be honest with you. It's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And I'm going to tell you why. And again, this is very practical. If I'm feeling in a state of impatience, the first thing I want to do is relieve the pressure. In some ways, I've learned I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this anymore. So how can I get rid of the feeling? And the ego is great. Again, strategizing. How do you get rid of the feeling? Just get busy with doing other things. But the forgiveness practice says, will you pause and notice that you're in that state of impatience? Will you willingly step back and look at it? And will you let it move through you to the light and to the love that is within? Will you let it go to the Holy Spirit so that it can be healed and transmuted and cleared away? Because we know the impatience is of the ego, and so it's really illusory. What gives it power is our belief in it. We really believe that there's pressure and stress and all those things. It gives it power, makes it real. But if we step back from it and we give it some space and we say, I'm here witnessing to this uncomfortable feeling, this pressure, this stress, this impatience. And I'm going to breathe right now as I let it move through me. Sometimes on a practical level, I will call and express to someone if I need to. Sometimes if I'm by myself, I'll journal out the uncomfortable feelings and thoughts and everything, expressing it for the purpose of bringing it to the light for forgiveness, bringing it to the Holy Spirit that he may bring me another way to see. This is what is going to root out the ego from our mind. We're getting to the root of it. Okay? It's uncomfortable. We're not used to actually giving allowance to whatever feelings want to rise. We're used to judging them. We judge our feelings. We say, I shouldn't feel that way. Oh, I'm not being very spiritual right now. I should know better than this. Instead of stepping back and seeing the accumulation of not only the issue in terms of the feelings and the thoughts, but even the judgment of those issues and feelings and thoughts, all of it is washing through. It's uncomfortable, I will tell you that. It takes actually some practice to surrender, to step back and to allow for these feelings to come. After years and years of conditioning of saying there's good feelings and there's bad feelings and, you should not, you should be in the good feelings and not in the bad feelings. It doesn't work that way. For forgiveness to happen, we have to make space for those uncomfortable feelings, those feelings that have been rejected to actually clear through. And one of the things the Holy Spirit always says, he says, give it space. Just give it space. And so I go from feeling constricted in that feeling to go breathing. I'm just going to give it some space. Notice that I'm not acting on the thoughts, which is, you need to do this, you need to get this done, you need to do this. Because that's the old way. The old way is I'm going to listen to what the ego's saying the problem is, and then I'm going to listen to what the ego says the solution is, and I'm going to end up in a loop that never ends. Right? I'm not listening. I'm not acting upon what the ego is saying. I'm giving it space. Now, what comes up in this is the Holy Spirit's reminder to us that the healing is first. The healing, what the Holy Spirit would often say to me is the healing is out front. What that means is, he says, you seem to be doing all of these things in the world. You seem to have all these important tasks to fulfill. But the truth about it is that you are here to heal your mind and awaken. That's actually the purpose and function that you are here, which means that when we devote ourselves to these teachings and to this pathway, there comes reminders and also spaciousness given for us to practice the forgiveness amidst our day. So you will notice that there will be the proper time given. If you need forgiveness to happen, there will be the time. I used to laugh. I used to tell people, listen, I did a lot of forgiveness work raising young kids. I had little kids around me all the time. The Holy Spirit would say, if you need a space, go to the bathroom. He'd just tell me, go to the bathroom and take a pause. There is always a way to come back and to say, I can give this space for a minute. I'm telling you, it's orchestrated and your healing is built into the plan. So if you are knowing that your healing is out front, you will know that there will be the space, the time, the resources, the energy, whatever you need to actually practice this. It takes some willingness, absolutely. Right? So we have to enter through this portal of forgiveness to get to what is patience in the Course. What is divine patience? What is the attribute, the characteristic of patience? I think in a way, like I was saying to my leadership group today, I don't know why, but this month seems to be lasting forever about the topic of patience. I'm like, it's going on, but I think there's so much purpose to that because it's giving it space. Like every time I'm sending you out an email, every time we're bringing up this topic, it's giving space to something that, in what is very funny, the ego has no interest in you cultivating patience. To the ego, this whole topic is impatient. It's impatient about this whole topic. It could care less about this topic, right? So I can see there's an immersion happening and Jesus saying, watch where you are impatient and know that impatience is a sign that you need to forgive and ask for help. You need to express, you need to clear, and you need to step back and ask for help. Now, in the heart work exercise, there was this beautiful reminder, and it said, step 2, after you pause and you forgive, is to expect a miracle. And I think we often forget this, is that why are we even doing this? Like, why are we pausing? Why are we having these uncomfortable feelings wash through? Why are we doing this? It's not just about forgiveness, because if it was just about forgiveness, this would be a course in forgiveness. But this is a course in miracles. So we have to move through the process of forgiveness to get to the miracle. Now, one of the things that Jesus often emphasized is he says, there is a miracle to replace every grievance. Every grievance we would hold, there is a miracle. We could also say that every illusion holds a miracle, right? It holds a counter. There's a counter to every image we hold, to every thought we hold. There is a counter one that is the miracle. And so if we expect miracles, we can absolutely be patient. If we know that in our patience, there is a miracle being delivered. See, if we go back to the ego's impatience, the ego never thinks that there's a miracle happening. It thinks that disaster is about to happen. It's always going, the sky is falling. It's not saying, be patient, there's a miracle coming. It would never tell us that. It would say, disaster is coming, protect yourself. It would tell us that. It would threaten us with that. But over here, as we enter through the doorway, through forgiveness, we start to hear the Holy Spirit, our guide to love. And the Holy Spirit holds that infinite patience. That's where we truly ultimately learn it from, is our guides who are infinitely patient towards us. And they remind us, you are safe. There is a miracle here for you. You can rest. You can trust. You can be patient. You can rest in patience. Now, it says in the Course that God's teachers who are patient, they already trust. It's natural to be patient because they have the trust, the foundation of trust that says all things are resolved, all problems are resolved. There is a happy outcome to all things. It's assured. There is a miracle that replaces every grievance. If we held that remembrance in our mind, we could be infinitely patient. How do we hold that remembrance in our mind? Well, we have to move through that portal of forgiveness, and we have to rest in alignment with Holy Spirit. We have to rest in alignment with Him. So that's kind of the tricky thing, okay? You can't have patience with the ego. I want to share something else about we could talk about the ego's form of patience. Have you ever learned about the ego's patience? It will say something like this: be patient. Just be patient. Would you just be patient? Notice the tone. And basically what it's saying is, you better just wait for what's coming. You better step back. Don't have your feelings about it. Right? And there's like, that is the ego's patience. None of us have done well with that. Right? We've been scolded into that space. It doesn't work. You don't learn through fear and through being scolded. When we come over here and we move through that space into the Holy Spirit's alignment, He says, my child, rest with me in patience, all is well. He tells us we can afford to be patient because all is well. That everything we need for our healing will be delivered. That every answer that we ask will be resolved and given us an answer in perfect time. For every question that we have, there is an answer given. He says, you can afford to be patient because in that space, we are resting in trust. We are resting in God. So we all have the attribute of patience, but it's found in alignment with Spirit. And when we're in alignment with Spirit and we extend from that place, we then extend that infinite patience to each other and to ourselves. That's what ends up happening. And we have very different reactions to things than we would when previously we would be caught in the ego's perspective on it. So as we come to forgive more and more, we are going to notice a lot of miracles happening. A lot of miracles happening, because when you notice yourself in alignment and all of a sudden you're not reactive in the same way, you have a sense of patience for yourself that you didn't have before, a sense of kindness, a compassion for yourself. You have a sense of patience and a compassion and kindness towards others that you wonder where it came from. You go, whoa, this isn't my usual way of reacting and responding to something. But it's happening because you've forgiven the pattern of impatience. You've forgiven it again and again. You've forgiven it, and then you end up having and experiencing the miracles that come. We are 100% worthy of experiencing the infinite patience of God. It's in our mind, just like it's in Jesus and Holy Spirit, it's in our mind as well. And we learn from them in this experience, because if you turn towards Jesus and Holy Spirit in your mind, you will be met with a love and a kindness and a patience that is not of this world. And you will be met with that presence again and again and again, no matter how many times you turn to them. Now, after 20 plus years of studying the Course and turning to them countless times, they are certain, they are steady, and they are consistent in their responding. It's love that we're met with. And they are not worried. This is another beautiful thing. It's like that's why we can't really mess it up, because even in a seeming delay, when we get caught up in the ego and we seem to have a hard time bringing ourselves back into alignment, our loving teachers just wait with infinite patience, knowing exactly that in perfect time we will come back. We will choose once again. They will bless us with the remembrance of all we need to know, and the illusions and the lies of the ego and the falsities are going to wash away. They're going to wash away. I think in a way, this is a motivation to do the work, to really do the curriculum and do the work of this course, because I am telling you, one of the best attributes that we come to experience is a sense of patience, of not of this world. It's one of, I honor that when that is experienced in myself. I go, oh my gosh, like I can feel the love and the power and the strength of God in me, extending that message out, not only in my own mind to others, and saying, you are worthy of patience and you are loved beyond measure. And you are loved no matter what. It's an unconditional love and an unconditional patience that shines through. That's what shines through. So I also want to say on a practical level, because there's practical application within the course when we do our workbook lessons. And there is I'm just going to read a couple quotes around that, and you can start to see how Jesus and the Holy Spirit are ushering us into a state of patience to practice our workbook lessons. What does that mean? They're ushering us into a state of patience while we practice. Why? Because they want us practicing our daily lesson in alignment with the love and with their counsel. They want us teaching and guiding them. So this is a big thing when we practice the course and we say, we're not interested in doing our workbook lessons with the ego. As I say, the ego likes to just check it off each day. Done that, done that, done that, done that. The quality, the sincerity, the presence that it brings, it could care less. Read through the lesson, get it done, be done. But when we come over here, Jesus encourages us. He's like, rest in patience with your lessons every day. That will also help you cultivate a greater sense of that infinite patience that is within you. So he might say things like this: while you wait, repeat several times slowly and in complete patience, the light has come. The light has come. Right? And he's giving us this directive. He's like, repeat it slowly with complete patience. I mean, that's really beautiful. That's like an invitation to be in alignment with him. He says, in patience and in hope, we try again today. He just keeps bringing us. Let's try again today with our lesson. Let's try again today with our remembrance. In patience, we try again today. We rest in him. We trust in him. And then he says here, in patience, wait for him throughout the day and hourly invite him with the words with which the day began, concluding it with the same invitation to yourself. God's voice will answer, for he speaks for you and for your Father. And so he's saying to us, in patience, in a space of patience, wait for him to speak to you. Wait for him to come to you. And so again, over here, the ego is yelling at us to wait. And over here, the Holy Spirit says, my child, rest and wait for him. He will always bring his word. He will always bring what you need. And you can rest in safety and in peace. You can rest in patience that it's all being given and delivered. Right? And so there's even a practice through our workbook lessons of us cultivating this patience by practicing in our communication with him, to practice in patience and in peace while we learn this course. Right? It's another avenue to integrate and cultivate these teachings. Yeah. And again, I think what I really want to emphasize is that God has established our worth. He has established our worth. We are wholly worthy. And these attributes and characteristics that we are exploring right now, patience being one of them, are his gifts to us. They are an attribute of him who is our source, who is our Father, and he has blessed us with them. And the ego, of course, has its own version for everything. And that's simply, it's just untrue. It's just a false version. And it just needs to be forgiven. Like it really needs to be released. We have to stop believing in it. We have to stop relying on it. We have to stop listening to it, really. Right. And again, I have so much compassion for myself and others because I know that when that impatience comes in, it comes with the stress and the pressure, and we can get very wrapped up in it very, very quickly. And we can then again start to try and be reactive in it. So remember, we're expecting miracles. That's step 2. Pause and forgive, step 1. Expect miracle, step 2. The step 3 is act from love, meaning we wait with that infinite patience for the guidance to come, which is really often the guidance and the answer to whatever that impatience was. So with my work stuff, my goal is to bring every assignment, every task to him. Just lift it up to him. I don't want to keep it on my own plate. I want to lift it up to the light and let it be directed. And then I clear away my impatience. I clear away my desire. I clear away when I want to get it done. I clear away that I want to get it done in my timing. I rest back knowing I can expect a miracle. I can expect a clear message. I can expect guidance. And then I wait and I do not act until I hear from spirit. I only act from love. And so the guidance always comes. It always comes, usually not in the way I expect, usually not in the timing I expect. It's delightful because it's given from love. And remember, when I was saying at the beginning, this course is the wide view of everything. So when the guidance comes through, I can feel that it's not only on behalf of me, but it's on behalf of the whole, that this is like the sweetest, most delightful answer that I could receive. And then when we act upon the guidance, that's the full circle to the miracle, because it's the following the guidance through that brings the happy outcome that is assured. It's when we follow it through. It's not enough to listen. We have to follow. It's not enough to listen. We all hear, we hear that voice, we hear it come through. Are we following it through? Are we willing there to follow it through? When we follow it through, we experience the miracle. So it's like pause and forgive, expect a miracle, act upon the love, and then experience the miracle. Right? So we don't just stop at expecting miracles. Who wants to just walk around expecting miracles without experiencing the miracle? Right? We want to get to the miracle, A Course in Miracles. He's bringing us miracles. Miracles, miracles, miracles. The shift in perception, a new way of seeing, a happy outcome to all things is sure. This is our inheritance. We are so worthy of these gifts. We are so worthy of these gifts. The other thing I want to say to you is that this is so doable. This is doable for all of us. This does not take special powers. It does take willingness. It does take willingness, and it does take an amount of awareness. It does take mind training. We have to watch our minds for these patterns to arise. We have to be willing not to act upon them, but to step back and to release them and clear them away. And then we have to be willing to stand steady, expecting a miracle and waiting in that patience, waiting with patience and trust. It's easy to wait there in that trusting place for the answer to come. And as we answer his answer with the follow through, we experience the miracle. And the miracle comes with such peace of mind. And so I'm sending out these heart work practices. We're on these calls. We're in the classroom together. This is what this whole idea of Modern Miracles Academy, we are in the spiritual classroom together. And I'm so appreciative of your presence and your listening in this and our divine collaboration in coming to a space where more and more of us are demonstrating that infinite patience into the world and to each other and to ourselves. This will change lives. It will change our experiences. It will heal. This is what heals. Okay. Thank you so much I'm going to encourage you, if you can, to come to Miracle Mondays live, because when you come live, you get to have an opening prayer, and there's actually a question and answer after I complete. So come live if you can. Otherwise, if you're interested in our programs, visit www.modernmiracles.com. Make sure you sign up for Miracle Mondays if you're not. And also, we have a workbook journey, we have a minister training program, and I always do free discovery sessions if you want to come and talk about what is next on your spiritual journey. So, love you. Thank you.